Welcome to another episode of Intersections. Intersections is a labor of love from the team at the Utopia Studio. Thanks to our amazing crew for making this happen. Today we have with us three amazing individuals, Abdallah, Jeton, and Fares, who are founders of Renacore, that is building the intelligence layer for infrastructure assets in spaces that has not been solved for. This is going to be Qatar's first infrastructure intelligence unicorn in the making. So maybe to start off, right, I think you all have amazing names that mean a lot. Jeton, Abdallah, Fares, right? It would be great if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your story. Maybe I start with Fares.
Yeah, sure. My name, Fares, well, it's a knight in shining armor, what we just said, yeah. I mean, but my background is not knighting for sure. I don't like riding horses. That's one thing. I fell down a horse when I was young. But no, my background is finance.
Okay.
Right. So that's kind of what I do. Numbers, statistics, everything, stuff like that is what I like doing. But and I also am kind of a little bit crazy because I like doing startups.
Okay.
So that's you have to have some crazy in you. That's a little bit about me. But those two are the extremely cool guys.
About me, simply said, I'm an IT guy. I've been in the IT domain for the past 12 years. It all kicked off as I was young. I was actually the technical support of my family. I helped everyone in the family to connect their networks, connect their printers mainly, and then it moved on, right? Kicked it off in Switzerland. I started doing infrastructures. A lot of projects I had to do with infrastructure and architecture. Then moved on to that company that we founded prior to Renacore, which was mainly development. I did a lot of project management there. It was very much fun. We exited that one successfully, all three of us. And then we came up with Renacore, but we'll be talking about that.
You guys are brothers.
Yes,
yeah, he's the
correct.
good-looking one.
He's the good-looking one? Oh, well.
He took all my hair.
Says who? Where were you guys born, brought up?
We were born in Switzerland,
Okay.
Both of us. We were brought up in Jordan. We're originally from Jordan. Then by the age of 18, I went back to Switzerland. Fares stayed in Jordan, finished his studies there. I joined the military in Switzerland.
Okay.
So I'm also an infantry soldier, an ex-infantry soldier.
Okay.
And then we were, Fares came back to Switzerland after he finished his studies in Jordan. I was able to start my studies after that, so quite a bit of history between, Jordan and Switzerland.
Jeton, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so tell us about yourself.
So about myself, Jeton, to live, which, basically Jeton means to live. So what I do, I live my life to the fullest. I love exploring new things, new systems, how things function, to reconstruct it. And this interest sparked also in businesses to understand how do businesses work, how do they operate, what makes a business operate and run. When I started my career, I started in Switzerland because I was born and raised in Switzerland. Yeah. I started off with an apprenticeship as a salesman, like a retail salesman at IKEA in 2014. That's where I met Abdallah in his department. And in the beginning, I didn't like working with Abdallah.
You didn't like working with him?
No, working not.
Okay.
As a person, first time we became friends right away, but working, he was too strict.
It's too strict. Okay.
Me as a 16-year-old, exploring the world and then seeing Abdallah working, it was very strict.
So could you tell us a little bit about your previous company and what it basically did and the lessons that you guys took from building that you take into the Renacore journey now?
Yeah, I mean it's a funny story, right? I used to finish my master's studies, right, and then I worked at a bank in Switzerland for 3 months, and the CEO was telling me like, Fares, just do something by yourself. You're not someone that I see is gonna be happy here. And I worked there for 3 months, and then at the same time started the company development stuff. I'm not a developer at all. I have zero clue about developing. And I asked Abdallah, and he's like, look, whatever you're doing, I'm with you. Doesn't matter. So I think 6 months in, we got our first paying client. And I called Abdallah, look, hey, we have our first paying client. He's like, okay, 10 minutes. He called me back. I quit. He was working at also like technical stuff, I think. Yeah. So he quit, and then it kind of just went on from that. We worked in it like for 4 years plus a couple of months. What we did is mainly development, outsourced development. We helped big companies, whether in Europe or the US, get some, hands-on stuff. And I think we sold it at a great time, like in the middle of the AI revolution, 2023, 2024, right? Because if we wait a little bit more, then that would be, everyone's using AI. But it's a great learning experience. To be fair, that's thing. But it's not our first company, actually, right? We used to do stuff in Jordan, whether, simple washing cars companies, whatever, like anything we used to be able to find, build up. Yeah, a lot of things and see where it goes. So
maybe this is a good point to get into Renacore, right? So before we explain what the company is and what you guys are trying to do, could you just maybe touch light on, why, the space that you guys are focusing on is actually interesting and, is a space that you want to innovate in?
Backstory is Renacore kicked off in a completely different way. It kicked off as a very ambitious horizontal business. It started off from simple problems that we were seeing. We were seeing that law firms cannot, use, say, ChatGPT and Claude and stuff like that. They couldn't use that, or they weren't sure if they can use it with highly classified documents, and because of compliance. So we thought the easiest thing that we can do for them is build up something that is, say, sovereign, right, where they can safely use their the documents and chat to them so that they can create contracts and whatnot. That developed into something more. We thought, okay, let's do that for SMEs, where we can connect, as an example, their SharePoint, and then they can chat to their company. So we started off with that, and we did it. And at that time, Copilot wasn't as strong as it is right now. So that was something that we were able to sell, right? And we sold it in Switzerland to a couple clients there. But then we started seeing how powerful all the, major companies are becoming. So we thought it doesn't make sense to stay in this, right? It's competition that we cannot beat. And we don't even want to beat because we want to use their products. So, they're so powerful. So we started thinking, okay, we need to pivot into something. And we want to pick something where other startups are not necessarily going to show up in, right? We don't want to choose the shiny thing where you get famous and, no. We want to choose that thing where most of the startups are thinking, I can't make quick money, I can't make quick wins, because usually that's where you'll find a lot less competition, right? Your competition is usually older companies, the bigger ones, but that exactly means that you can innovate more. Yeah. You can bring in a lot more to the table than the big companies. And this is exactly how it started. Then we have some, people that we know that are in the industry, in the oil and gas industry, energy in general, and we spoke to them. We thought, this is a big industry. It's somewhat untapped, you could say. And let's talk to them and see how we can, position our product in a way so that it's useful for them. From the talks that we had there, we were able to, validate how we can move forward with it. And then, as you mentioned before, how we met, Web Summit. By that time, we were invited by or we were part of the Swiss Pavilion, so obviously part of the Swiss Embassy. So we came to Web Summit, and we were able to speak to a lot of people from the industry directly. And speaking to them made us validate the whole thing, full on, right? So we were able to extract some requirements to understand where the needs are exactly. And that's how we then said, okay, this is it, right? We're going to kick off all the way in exactly this sector. And here we are.
I really like the point that you made around low competition, right? Because I think there is actually low competition in that space just because people feel it's monolithical to innovate in those places, and they don't have something that I see in all of you, which is the commitment and the patience to seed it, to develop it, and to continue building it. Could you maybe expand on a little bit there? Where does that actually come from?
I think it's a personality thing, right? And also understanding. We just understand each other some way or the other. I have no idea how. Like, if I'm hungry, he's hungry. I mean, he's always hungry, but but you know what I mean? Like, we understand each other, and we have this compartmentalization in ourselves, is that this is work, this is what we're going to do, and this is what's going to happen. It doesn't matter if we disagree here or something happens here, we're still doing it, right?
Yeah.
We find ways. And that's something you have to have between all the co-founders, right? And that's why I think there's this sync, or I would say chill vibes, or I don't know what the word is, again, the same as you, is we'll just do it. I mean, we can do it.
Exactly.
We know we can do it. Why not
Yeah.
do it, right? If it takes some time, it's okay. If it's fast, it's also okay. But again, we celebrate our wins, right?
Yeah.
If we get some meetings, we're happy. If we maybe sign someone, we're extremely happy. So it's like something that's coming every now and then, and we know that we deserve what's coming. That's kind of I think what I wanted to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of dedication also
Yeah.
and discipline, right? I think discipline, we all can speak about discipline a lot. We've been talking about this, like we talked about this yesterday, actually. The connection to sports, as an example, that's one of the things that keeps us disciplined, because we understand it in a different way. I think Jeton here is one of the guys from us that can really talk a lot, because he's a footballer. He played with teams. He knows exactly how it is, to navigate inside a team. And there's a lot of connection between having a business and doing sports. It's way more than people actually think, right?
Yeah.
I won't go too deep into it. I played for a few teams in Switzerland. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of teams. I've seen how the teams cooperate together, how they work together, and it also goes back to the circle of it's a team. And in the team, there are certain roles. In a team, there are certain sacrifices you have to take on for the team, not for your egoistical thoughts or goals, but you step back for a moment if it's needed to, because your goal is the greater goal, not your personal goal in a team. This is one part. The second part is also the psychological part, which I love, because in sports, not everything functions the way you wish it should function. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. You go with the mentality to win, but if you're losing, you still need to stand up and continue. You have to build up that resilience to continue the same in work. In football, you lose, you're not going to stop playing football. Next day or in 2 days, you go back to training and practice to become better. Same thing in business. Something doesn't work out, you collect your thoughts, you think about, okay, what went wrong, what is to improve, and then you continue again.
Now, if we talk about Renacore specifically, right? So what is Renacore, and what's maybe the overarching vision of the company?
For now, what we're doing with Renacore is we've built it in a let's say in 3 layers, right? The first layer is infrastructure. The infrastructure connects pretty much to everything that an energy operator has. So that's our target also. Energy operators, they have a lot of systems. And these systems, of course, they submit a lot of data from sensors, from anything that they have in terms of assets. So we take this data from layer 1 and we go into layer 2. Layer 2 is where the models are, the AI models. Several different ones, obviously. Most importantly to say is physics informed. Second of all is time series. And the third is obviously a large language model that we need to use. And that goes into the third layer. The third layer is applications. Now, our start is going to be focused on predictive maintenance, right? We want to optimize and enhance the whole workflow in terms of predictive maintenance, because this, I wouldn't just generalize, but a lot of it, based on what we've seen so far, is based on old machine learning techniques. And machine learning, and you know that it's not something that is new. It's been here for a long time. So we're trying to enhance that part so that these companies can really optimize their whole workflow. And of course, in this application layer, when we're talking about predictive maintenance, it doesn't just stop at that point. So it's not like you just see that something's about to break in 2 weeks or 3 months, but it actually automates a lot of things. So it can explain to you why is it going to happen, or why did it happen, and it also automatically sends out a work order or a maintenance order, whichever system that the specific company is using, and that's how the workflow is actually completely concluded. For now, it's always with a human in the loop, right? It's never fully autonomous. That would be a bit dangerous for the beginning, specifically speaking of startups. But for the future, we're looking to obviously build up more apps on layer 3. full-on manage those assets, not just predict, but also full-on manage. And then you'll have a full suite, right? That would be the long-term vision for us.
Okay, I wanted to dig into that deeper, those three layers, right? So now, maybe the first thing is I'm coming from the perspective of somebody who is, let's say, the least digitally mature. Let's say I have infrastructure assets on the physical side of things. I have manual pen and paper based, operations, and maybe the most sophisticated thing I have is an Excel sheet. Okay, to that I look at retroactively. Okay, to assess my performance, to make changes to my system and such. How should somebody who's a customer on that side, think about interacting or interfacing with you guys, given that they are so used to that legacy from SCADA systems and Siemens and Semantics IT and stuff like that?
I think it all starts, generally speaking, for all companies the same, and we had the same thing with the enterprise version of the company. It's the data needs to be cleaned up first, right? That's where you start. You start with the data. Like, you need to utilize this data for you to give your customer an output. And if this data is not clean in the first place, then you'll need to start digging on that, right? Nowadays, we're in 2026, and still some companies are using Excel sheets and this is not just, we're not just talking about the energy industry. No, we're talking all industries. Faris mentioned these things also about banking as an example. That industry also is still using Excel sheets. Hospitals, they need to send fax. I think that's the hard part there. It's not the data cleanup. It's not convincing someone to, a big company to get the product. I think the hard part is changing it internally and actually making employees of that company understand, like, hey, this is the future of how it's going to run. In the end, the AI model that we have is already built. It's tested. And we know that it's going to function as it's intended to function. But as soon as we get over that step, then the rest comes along with it. But digitalization is a big thing.
Now, given that, like, how, maybe from a go-to-market perspective, how do you reach these kind of customers, right? Because I know you guys have been engaging with a lot of people on the ground to validate what's going on, these maintenance workers, so and so. Like, how have you guys found that go-to-market component of things?
What I noticed in Qatar for the go-to-market strategy, it's better to connect with people in person, and it's easier to speak to people about their current job, what they do, and what kind of challenges they are facing. It's more, you need to start it from a bottom-up perspective, that you get the insights of, okay, all the engineers are facing this particular issue. Maybe the manager knows it, but he's ignoring it. So you have the validation point that, hey, this is an actual problem. I spoke to your people, and they would like to have a change here. So maybe this could be something interesting to explore.
That's one of the companies that we spoke with in Qatar, actually, and it was very interesting to hear what they have and what they don't have. And most of the useful information came from engineers, obviously, not from management, right? From management, you can hear the broad issue. But the engineers are going to give you the details. Like, they're going to be like, 1, 2, 3 is not working. Like, this is something I need to function, and it's not functioning.
Something. Yeah, you have a background in cybersecurity as well. Could you? How does that play a role in the security side of things? What are you incorporating in that mattered to them? Because look, this thread has come up across the board. Like, people want stuff on-prem. They want things that they can touch and feel. They want to make sure that their data is not being exploited to train models in the West and such, or intelligence that's been monetized somewhere else. Right, so could you talk a little bit about the security component, especially around the data, and if there's some intricacies on IP associated with it, right? Like, if you have new intelligence that comes from that, has there been discussions around the IP component of who owns the, let's say, the know-how, and because everyone's thinking about, okay, the scalability of the solution post that, so that would be interesting.
Yeah. It's one of the harder things that we had to think about, but in the end, we're thinking in terms of clients. What do they need? What do they want? What we want for them is to keep their competitive advantage, right? So the models, of course, are going to be enhanced, but that does not mean that they will start learning from their data directly. It means, of course, this model needs to get enhanced, it needs to improve, to be improved, and eventually this is the model that is going to be standardized and reused in all other companies. But in the end, the data that they have is let's say the thing that is going to help them the most. So if you're a company and you have data for the past 20 years and this data is good and accurate and clean, then it's definitely going to give you an advantage.
Right. So I want to come up the stack now, okay, to the differentiation layer that you guys have, which is very much around, as you mentioned, the physical AI. You're doing time series forecasting, and you're doing, LLM-based models, and doing. How much emphasis have customers asked from a differentiation perspective about this, right? And how much of this comes from a place of need versus a place of just, we need to kind of make sure that we're providing a competitive advantage of it.
To be honest, most of the companies do not fully understand what it means to have a physics-informed AI or physics-informed neural networks. If you speak about time series, they will also not really completely understand it. What they do understand is the LLM part because everyone's using it, right?
I know.
So, when it comes to the physics part, we need to explain to them how we're doing the whole thing. And we really dig into that. We start doing the full explanation, like what it does, why it's useful, time series, what is it going to help with, and the LLM, okay, why do I need that, right? So we split up everything pretty much for them to understand, okay, what does this really do, and how is it really going to help me out? Now, most of it, for a lot of companies, it's based around hype, right? They want AI. Why? Who knows? But as soon as you start explaining what AI is actually going to do for them, that's when you actually, it goes really quick. They understand everything. They see it. And they're like, oh, definitely, I want that, right?
Maybe to come up lastly on the application layer, and then we can close up on Renacore as on the technology stack. What are the applications you guys have been seeing that are interesting for customers? I think predictive maintenance is one that you mentioned. What are the other ones that are interesting, for them to unlock value from your whole technology stack?
I think understanding their whole assets, to actually understand what their assets are doing, what's happening. That's something I was honestly surprised that most of them that we talked about actually don't know.
They don't know
about
what's happening with their assets.
Yeah, what's happening with their assets. Some of them don't even have asset management systems, which kind of, it's surprising. And that's another layer which I think we're also building pretty fast because it's needed, right?
Definitely. We're going to look into multiple things, right? So predictive maintenance also spreads out to a lot of different things. Now, for us, that is the first and foremost thing. As for the rest of the applications that are going to come on top, the whole point is to build up the platform as a platform, which is modular. So it's plug and play, right? You can add as many applications as you want on top of everything that's already running. In the end, the whole goal is for Renacore to become the core of that specific company, right? That is the whole point. So, yeah.
Awesome. On that note, I think we're going to change gear a little bit, okay? I think a core facet that makes a company great is the people, and I think I want to have you guys share a little bit about the other person that you admire a lot in. Okay, maybe I'll start with you, Faraz, about Jeton.
I think one of the great things about Jeton is that, he's a shy person, right? But when it comes to it, he's not. He takes the risks, he does things. He accepts things as they are and just goes with it, right? And if he has an opinion, he says it, even if we disagree. He's with it until everyone understands, and then we can actually continue. So a lot of people that are younger, when they talk to other people that have experience, they're like, "Oh no, he has more experience than me, so I'll just don't talk anything," right? But no, that's one of the things I deeply respect about him, to be honest, right? Apart from being fit, I'm fat, but yeah. So it's a pleasure working with Jeton for sure. Abdallah, it's a pleasure working with him, but he just doesn't let me eat chocolate and all that stuff. So
Yep.
he's the calorie executive officer.
He's a calorie executive officer.
But me and Abdallah are the absolute opposite.
Okay.
Right, in work stuff. We both have the same work ethic. We both kind of follow our goals, doesn't matter what's in front of us. But again, he's more strict. He looks at things more like, this is it, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm more in different kind, is that I look at things, okay, there it is. Let's see, maybe we can go here, from here. We just go somewhere, right? So that's different, but that's why, Renacore needs someone like Abdullah, and that's kind of the good mixture about us three. But again, I think, apart from being my brother, I don't like talking good about him in front of him, so, but, he's the man. It's and both of them are great, right, to work with. I'm absolutely excited to see where this goes, to be honest, and I think it's going to go very far. Right?
Okay, I think one thing that we like you guys to just elaborate on a little bit is let's say the 10-year vision of where you see this thing going, and what some of our listeners and watchers could maybe help you unlock in that context, right? If you're looking for pilots, if you're looking for funding, if you're looking for something really specific, your wishes are command in some way or form.
I'd love to hear what Jeton thinks
Oh yeah.
for 10 years. Yeah.
10 years. What do you think?
Yeah, they love to throw me in cold water. That's the thing.
So we don't have an answer, so Jeton, please,
I was thinking the same thing.
Oh.
Like, come on, guys. I just wanted to compliment them before,
You're pleased.
No, now I want to take it back. I want to take back my thoughts.
No, what was your compliment?
I wanted to say you can always rely on them. You can
Yes.
always be sure that you put trust in them.
Yeah.
You don't need to think about any problem, any challenge you have, because they're the man. If they start something, they pull it off.
What's the vision of the company 10 years from today?
Unicorn, for sure. I know that. So.
Yeah, unicorn for sure. It's something. I'm gonna take it in a personal aspect. I want Renacore to stand for something and to be something that helps companies achieve their goals better, but also help them in the human aspect of saving maybe lives, maybe saving them from financial ruins. It's some sort of a tool that helps them to become better. That's how I envision it. Apart from being a unicorn and being a successful unicorn, it's truly the aspect of helping the companies in achieving their goals.
I mean, in the end, with Renacore, if it works well, or when it works well, the carbon footprint is going to decrease from any company, right? Because you can assist in those things here and there. Maybe you can teach other people how this works, and then the company can get stronger employees or younger employees, especially in the energy sector. It's all older people, right? And the younger people are kind of, I'm not going to go there. So when there's Renacore, you can also get more people into the workforce that's kind of young now, which are not finding jobs.
Yeah, and I would say, to conclude on both what Faris and Jeton just said, is it's very important to say that we're starting off as a Qatari Swiss company, right? And the whole point for us is to have a tech unicorn coming out of Qatar, coming out of the region, right? It's a very important point. Like, I haven't mentioned it before, but our whole system is designed to be bilingual in Arabic and in English. So we do want something for this region also.
Yes.
We do believe that if it's something that's built in a completely different country, it doesn't mean that it's going to work in the region.
Yeah.
The Middle East, GCC, North Africa, and so on, it's a completely different world, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing it for here. We want it to succeed here, and we want it to be the first tech unicorn that's coming out of Qatar, although obviously we're not going to be the first. We heard of Sununu. But yeah, that's definitely our target. We want something from the region.
I love that. And I think we also share that same passion, I think, of wanting to build homegrown technology that comes from this side of the world, that does not have the reliances, or the chains rather, to the other side of the world, that kind of leads to weird dynamics in terms of a relationship or capture of value. So that's very nicely put. I wanna thank you guys, okay, for being so open, so being so candid. Something that we really admire at the studio is first finding great people and then building great companies with them.
Awesome.
And I think we not only wish, but we will into action, what you guys aspire to be and do, and we'll provide any kind of support that is necessary.
The studio is amazing. You guys, you've been doing a phenomenal job.
It's very complementary to what we're doing.
Yes.
Working together and on the same way, and it's just going pretty fast.
The whole concept that you guys have, it's not something that we've seen before. To be fair, we've heard of a lot of accelerators and incubators and whatnot, but it's never been the exact same. So co-building style, and you were saying we're like an extended or an extension to your team. And that, I think, is amazing, right? It gives us a lot of strength. It gives us that feeling that, okay, like if we're not capable of doing one specific thing, doesn't matter what it is, then you guys are here,
Yeah,
and you have the professionals for it. So definitely amazing job you guys are doing, and very excited to continue working with you guys.
Awesome. Great. On that note, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for an amazing episode of Intersections. I think we'll probably come back to you guys maybe at the end of the year, to see, how many awesome pilots you have and investment as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And I encourage our listeners to follow the amazing people here. Faraz, the knight in shining armor.
Thank you.
Abdallah, the man fulfilling God's wishes. And Jeton, okay, who is living the dream, right?
Yeah.
Or living life to the fullest. But more and more we realize that as AI makes it so easy to build things, and technology becomes a bit commoditized, it's more about the people and
Behind
the
it.
relentlessness and the resilience and the consistency and the discipline and the loyalty and the trust and all these components that make great companies. And I'm so excited to see you guys grow and become an amazing company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Karan. Yep.
Awesome.